So you don't trust special investigator Robert Hur? You don't trust
No,
his
I
judgment?
don't trust
Okay.
his judgment. He let Biden off the hook. I don't trust his judgment at all. If Merrick Garland's not just a yes man for Biden, why won't he release the tapes of Robert Hur?
He actually explained that in great detail. I'm actually glad you brought that up. It's because everything else that's within the tape is basically like a bunch of filler words, like the and the and the like the blank stuff. So basically, and he's already actually testified under Congress that special counsel Hur essentially said that this is a complete transaction. Was it? What's the word? Transcript. Okay. The transcript in here is complete. There's nothing else missing. Bless you. There's nothing else missing in here. Everything in here is 100%. The only thing that's missing in here is we didn't include the uhs and the ums and all the filler words because they're essentially not important. Essentially, that's the reason why they're not essentially releasing them. There's really no point to it, and he was very, very clear about that.
If that's true, then why not just release them if it's literally the same thing? You know the reason as well as I do. What would be your hunch why they're not releasing it? If you had to guess.
Because Biden stutters, because he does a lot of filler words and stuff like that. I mean,
because it's going to prove Robert Hur's points, where basically Hur let him get away with mishandling classified information and reading it and showing it to his ghostwriter. And the reason he let him go for that was because a jury would be sympathetic because he's basically just a sad old man that doesn't know where he's at. And the Biden administration said, no, how dare you? And so it's like, okay, well, let's hear the tapes as opposed, if we're admitting that the transcript's not the full measure, that there were filler words and stuff like that, then we want to hear the tape. What we're told by the Biden administration is, believe it or not, Joe Biden's the smartest, sharpest person in the world behind the scenes. When you see him, he looks like a vegetable. But trust us behind the scenes. Okay, then let's see behind the scenes. If the best argument you could have for why Merrick Garland's violating a subpoena as we speak, the best argument you have is because the information released would be the exact same as what's already been released. That doesn't seem to be a reason to violate a lawful congressional subpoena.
Don't you think they're kind of reaching though? Like if they find okay, I mean we can disagree about that because like if they actually end up listening to the entire like tape and it's found that it's sufficient, they basically wasted all that time for nothing, wouldn't you say?
No, I think that if this tape, which the American people have a right to hear, and certainly Congress has a right to hear it, shows that Biden has a dementia problem going into this election, we all have the right to know that. I think that's absolutely true. I don't think the argument of just trust us, we made some slight alterations, but trust us. What if one of those alterations were, for example, him like under his breath saying something like, yeah, I did know that was classified, and they altered it? How would we know? Why won't we just see the source material and then we can decide for ourselves? Instead, we have to rely upon a transcript, which we've been told has been edited.
Well, the only thing they edited out of there was just like once again the filler words.
How do you know?
And this is because so you don't trust special investigator Robert Hur? You don't trust his judgment?
I don't trust his judgment. He let Biden off the hook. I don't trust his judgment at all. He gave the exact rationale for why Biden committed a crime and then decided not to prosecute him because he's a feeble old man. That's ridiculous. You want to talk about immunity? Any crime that requires intent, now Joe Biden has immunity from. Because he'll just say, did you ever see that Seinfeld episode, right, where they're stealing books, Uncle Leo? I'm an old man, I'm confused. That's the Joe
I don't remember that one.
You're missing out. We're being told that we have to vote for this guy, right, for president of the United States, but he's too confused to be held accountable for decades mishandling classified information.
My question is, why hasn't Biden given himself immunity from this then?
Because it would look bad politically.
So what? So he can't give him. So he's can't give himself immunity or something like that. I mean, is that what you're wondering?
No. How bad would it look politically if Robert Hur would? Right.
Yeah. Hold on. Alex.
Yes.
Okay. Please. You understand, hopefully, how there are political considerations to be had here, and you can cede to at least one possible reason that Biden would not pardon his son or give himself immunity or any of that would be because it would, quote unquote, give away the game. Now, to be clear to my audience, this isn't something I believe, but it needs to be addressed, right? So do you at least acknowledge that that's possible?
Yeah.
Okay. So to address Rob's point, right, please, why do you think, if not that, why would they refuse to release the record from the Hur report, right? The unedited document. Because there's too many ums and ahs?
Yeah, because there's a lot of filler words in there, and Robert Hur even said that there's nothing else. This is a complete transcript, essentially.
Do you think it's a good idea that they're not releasing the transcript from a political standpoint?
I honestly don't. I think they should release it. I don't care, honestly.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you agree?
Sure.
Look, and this is a tough proposition, right?
Okay.
Because polling, we all know polling can be wildly inaccurate or biased, whatever. But do you, in general, agree with polling that suggests a huge percentage of people in this country are distrusting of Congress, of the president, whether it be Biden or Trump, of the intel agents? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, sure.
You don't think, then, that us being told, trust us, this dude's violating a subpoena right now. Merrick Garland's violating a subpoena. A crime for which he says is so serious that Steve Bannon's going to prison, right? Like right now, Steve Bannon's going for the same crime, violating a subpoena. But Merrick Garland's voluntarily violating a subpoena because he wants to keep the word and from the American people being heard. But trust us, that's the only reason. That's all it is. You don't think that that's bad for an American people that are already so distrusting that it's like,
it could be.
It doesn't, I mean, does it make sense to you? Do you think Merrick Garland should be prosecuted and go to prison for violating the subpoena?
In a fair system, yeah. This is the United States of America. We have the right to prosecute anybody. But here's what I'd like to go for you, okay? I want to just kind of toss this back.
I want to get back to that in 1 second, but go ahead. That's fair.
Yeah. So if we're not allowed to trust everything, like if we're saying, okay, we can't trust the system, we can't trust everything else, why should we trust anything about like what Trump says? He has immunity, therefore he should be cleared of all crimes. Why should we trust anything that Trump says when he's pretty much been wrong about every single thing? Why is it people have so much faith in Trump when he has consistently lied, and he's even stolen classified documents he was not allowed to have? Why is it that we cannot trust the system, but we can trust Donald Trump? Why is that?
Well, who says that? Who are you debating? You're not talking to someone who's some Trump sycophant. So let me answer to what you say.
Let him answer, please.
To what you say specifically there. Trump's opinions on a legal theory, you don't have to trust that. That's going to go to the Supreme Court and they'll make a decision, right? You may agree or disagree, but I'm not taking Trump. This is what I think of Trump's legal theories.
Sure.
Nothing. They mean next to nothing. Now, his lawyers that may be making these arguments, perhaps they have more credence with me, but Trump's just arguing, I'm president, I can do whatever I want. I don't care about that. The idea of why should I trust Trump with anything, I don't. In fact, that's why I want a government that is filled with transparency. I don't trust anyone. I don't even trust myself 10 days from now I don't trust myself tonight to make the right decisions. Like, I want a government of transparency where the American people knows. Now, I understand it can't be every little government secret. I get that. But the idea that, like, I want an open and honest government. My issue is that I see the government is not open and honest, and it has grown to such mammoth proportions that the American people's voice no longer matters, and it's currently engaged in a double standard against anyone that they see as potential outsiders, which is why they didn't like Bernie Sanders in 2016, which is why they didn't like Trump. Not because Trump's some saint that I trust everything he says. I think Trump's done a lot of things that are terrible. I criticize Trump in ways probably more effective than many, many, many of the left-wingers. I personally wanted Vivek Ramaswamy or Ron DeSantis more than I wanted Donald Trump. That's who I wanted. So I don't just take, well, whatever Trump says is good. I don't believe that. But I want to go back now. We can come back to this if you want, but just real quick to put a bow on this, right? If you say in a fair system Garland should go to jail, you do realize he's not going to go to jail. So doesn't this disprove your whole argument that he's not just a yes man for Biden? Because he's definitely not going to send himself to jail for violating that subpoena. So you would acknowledge that means it's not a fair system.
Not a fair system. That's basically your question, right?
Correct. If you said in a fair system, Garland would go to jail. He ain't going to go to jail. Garland's not going to send himself to jail. And so would you acknowledge that means he's not going?
Well, not yet.
Not yet. Hold on. Let's back up a moment, please.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by not yet?
Well, here's the thing. Like, he's not going to send himself to jail. Like, any rational person knows this, right? But, however, Congress can hold him in contempt of Congress, essentially, correct?
Correct.
And they can also, like, subpoena him. And what Steve Bannon, but Stephen Bannon is also not in
think
a
that should happen? That's the question.
Oh, do I think it should happen? Do I think Merrick Garland should be sent to prison if it's proven, that he's a violent subpoena? Sure.
He was voted. They voted for contempt today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's it. So he should go to jail, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
if he doesn't, that shows there's a double standard. Correct.
Sure. I can agree with that.
Okay, that's my whole argument. when it comes to corruption. Okay. We keep talking about this, or we can move on to domestic policy.
We can move on. Let's move on to domestic policy.
I'll take that win. You just conceded that there's an incredible double standard in corruption.
It's like that for pretty much every system. But let's move on to because I don't want to get in the weeds of that. So anyway,
I'm sure you don't. That's fine.